meeting to order.
Mr. Ninos?
Here.
Mr. Gomes?
Here.
Mrs. Boland? Here. Mr. Carlin?
Here.
Dr. Flowers?
Present.
Mrs. Gaines?
Here.
Mrs. Silver?
Here.
Will you please stand for the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next would be a moment of silence. Would you please keep the following individuals who have passed away in your thoughts and prayers. Mr. Edward Fogarty, uncle of Hope Cella, RHS art teacher. Remedios Espirito, aunt of Gaia Coleman. It's a TMS paraeducator. Raymond Barbary Sr., father of Colleen Crotu, Pell ELL teacher. Veronica Grimes Walworth, sister-in-law of Maureen Grimes, Pell nurse. Claire Carden, grandmother of Candace Luia, TMS science teacher. And Bernardo Pita, grandfather of Caitlin Wilson, TMS math teacher. A moment of silence. Thank you. The next item would be public comment, and before we get going on that, are there anyone signed up for a public comment?
Yes, we do have a few people signed up. Isabella Griffith?
Okay. What we'd like to do is if I could have support of the panel is we would like to offer the 3 minutes to someone to stand up and speak their piece on whatever items they see fit, and we'd like to try to limit it to a 15-minute total if possible to try to get on with the business of the night. So if I have any support on that.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry for the interruption. Did someone leave their phone plugged in the other room?
I did.
I'll get it.
They can stay there.
You want it to stay there? It's buzzing.
Oh yeah, I want it. You can take it home with you tonight if you'd like.
Mr. Nick, before we vote on that, how many people are signed up to speak?
I don't really know.
We have public comment, and then we have two others that would like to speak specifically.
Okay, that's fair. Sure. It's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
discussion?
I'm sorry, discussion, Mr. Carlin, yes.
Thank you. What do we do? I understand you have to sign in, or you should, for public speaking on items that aren't on the agenda, but you don't have to sign in. Suppose someone from the audience wants to sign in. Suppose we reach more than 5 people. That would presumably, we would run over the 15-minute mark. What do you suggest at that point?
I'm up for options. I'm not going to be the swing of the hitman on this. I'm going to hitman all day long. So
Can we just
let's put some debate into it and see what the colleagues want. What do you guys think?
I think setting aside 15 minutes for open forum is sufficient. Are we doing this permanently or just for tonight?
Tonight.
Okay, because seeing as there's only 3 people, 3 times 3 minutes each is 9. We should be fine. Nobody can sign up once the meeting starts for open discussion, correct?
That's not correct, with all due respect.
Ms. Sylvia? Do you have any?
I just think for 15 minutes, I know my experience was with the city for years, and the council's always limited the public comment to 15 minutes. And each person should only speak once.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Gomes, do you have any comment on that before we move forward?
No, sir.
Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, I think we should really enforce the practice of having, if one person addresses a particular issue in a certain fashion, it not be repeated. Because we can take note that that particular area has been discussed.
Mr. Carlin?
Let everybody who wants to speak, speak. If you're repeating the same thing, obviously you want to summarize it, but let everyone who wants to speak, speak. 3 minutes for each person. If there are more than 5 minutes, or more than 5 people who want to speak, allow them to do so. I won't cut it off in 15 minutes. if there are more than 5 individuals who want to speak, sometimes a person doesn't realize they want to speak until they've heard others before them speak.
Mr. Chairman, I believe last meeting went 30 minutes or longer, and we couldn't finish our agenda because the public part went on for so long, and several people spoke several times, and much of the information was repeated. And therefore, we didn't get to other items on the agenda because of our policy, written policy, that the meeting has to end in 3 hours.
Ms. Gold?
So, first, 2 parts here. One for clarification. So, people have to sign up, right? Are they allowed to sign up while someone's speaking? Are we allowing that tonight?
I'd have to look at the policy.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not ever endorsing this for other nights, but right now we only have 3 people signed up tonight to speak, and I say anybody that signed up can have their 3 minutes. I would never endorse it for a night. If there's 10 people who want to speak and it's 3 minutes each, I'm fine with that, because so,
Understood.
yeah.
So for this evening's agenda, and all those in favor of 15 minutes and 3 minutes apiece, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any of those opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you. Would you please just state your name and let us know where you live, and you got the floor.
My name is Isabel Griffith. I live on the Point in Newport. I'm here tonight to thank those in the school administration who were on the panel for the Alliance for a Livable Newport Forum last week. They did a terrific job. That would be Colleen Germain, Robert Young, and Carrie Clark. As you know, Robert Young is head of the Newport Area Career and Technical Center and P-Tech. Carrie Clark is College and Career Readiness Coordinator. They were 3 members of a 5-person panel. Their contributions were outstanding. The topic of the forum was the working future of Newport, and it covered the topic of public education and how it is attempting to prepare our students for the future working environment in the city. I would like to thank those 3. They did an outstanding job. And when I have access to the video of the forum, I will make sure every board member gets a copy. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Ms. Nash, who else do we have?
We have Diane Sheehan.
I'm Diane Sheehan. I live in Middletown, Rhode Island. I'm an art educator at Pell and art supervisor in the Newport Public Schools. I just wanted to take a minute to thank the school committee and administration and the public for leaving the lines of communication open regarding the music and art room situation at Pell. And you're welcome anytime to come visit our program in our rooms and while we're traveling. And finally, as of Friday, actually Thursday, up to date, 100 3rd and 4th graders are signed up for the strings program at Pell. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Jackson.
Good evening, my name is Jennifer Jackson. I reside at 38 Dudley Ave. I have a 3rd and 7th grader here in the school system. I came up for one thing, but I have 2 things to say now, because I always like to talk to y'all. One was to bring up that I know I haven't said it in a while, but I think I need to bring it back up. I came to the school committee several times regarding issues of my yard flooding, and it's been 5-6 years, and my yard still floods if anybody cares, which I honestly, truly, it breaks my heart to say this, I know you don't. Because I've been back and forth trying to resolve the issues and there's nothing. So that being said, that brings disappointment because there's other issues that people bring to this panel, such as a cell phone tower, and that gets resolved pretty quick. So I must be doing something wrong. I'm not just the right person to be talking. I wouldn't come here time after time, spend a lot of my own money, pay for somebody to do a survey, and then have that same company who did the survey have an individual that works for the school department go into their business, have a hissy fit, and they change the report. That did happen. I wish I was lying. I honestly do. I spent my own money on that. I've given you guys everything. You can look confused if you want, but I have given everything that I received to you. I've given pictures. I've given reports. I want to say it still floods. And the other concern that I have is when you sit here and you try to put time on the public speaking part. I know we all want to go home. We're all tired. But for the welfare of our community, and the fact is that each and everyone's voice should be heard. And it shouldn't be, you got 15 minutes to 3 minutes, that's 5 people that can only speak. Well, if we're all concerned and we have children in the system and we're speaking for the sake of our community and our children, you know what, if it takes once a month for me to go home tired and sitting at these meetings and listening to the concerns of our community and the concerns of our children, bite the bullet and let's do it because our voices matter. And if people need to come up more than once, then maybe they don't feel like they're being heard. And I just think that we need to start making a little bit of reform and make people feel as though we're part of one community and not this and that. And I do appreciate, I know it's not an easy job. No job is ever easy. I appreciate it. But I think we need to be a little more open to our community and the differences and the great diversity that we have in our community. And it is hard because of the diversity to get everybody happy. It's a real world. Not everybody's going to be happy, but let's find a medium line and a sign of peace. I know my 3 minutes are probably up, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Ms. Nash? On other items? Okay, thank you. Student council update. Do we have our student council representative here, Elise Duarte?
Right. I'm surprised she's not here. She was invited. I don't know if she's at a sporting event, and it went. Yes.
She may be at an athletic event. Is she?
She went to Rogers.
Well, I hope not. I hope she didn't go to Rogers. In any event, we will give her ample time and let her know that if she has an event, she can certainly put someone in here to speak on behalf of the student body. Next would be action items. We have action item 4.1, request for approval to install greenhouses for horticultural by Newport Arboretum. Superintendent Jermaine? Or Mr. Harrop, I guess.
Mr. Harrop's here. This is a project that came before the school department. It's something for the future, and they'd like to install a greenhouse. And you can speak more to the greenhouse, I think, Mr. Harrop, than I can.
Where's the funding coming from the greenhouse?
I'm going to let him finish.
For the greenhouse, I should say.
Okay, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Tom Harrop. I'm the Superintendent of Facilities for the City of Newport and Newport Public Schools. So the Newport Arboretum is in fact donating the greenhouse and all of the labor to install the greenhouse in support of the horticulture program. The only long-term cost that the school department will pick up is there will be some electric. It will not be running year-round, and it will not use electric year-round. But in the event that some of the fans need to turn on for exhausting heat out of the greenhouse in the summertime, there will be minimal electric consumed. Other than that, this is totally being donated from Newport Arboretum. I got an email from Ms. Papp today. Unfortunately, they cannot get the greenhouses until late November, and she made a commitment to come to the November school committee meeting if you would like to hear directly from her about the program. So again, the greenhouse is a little bit of a back order. It's going to be a while before they can install it, and knowing the timelines for weather here, if they get it late November, it may be springtime before they can actually install.
So your recommendation?
Our recommendation is to approve Newport Arboretum to donate and install the greenhouse to support the horticulture program.
Walked out the space.
We've locked out the space, we've walked it all out. They're also going to install some fencing to keep the critters away from the Newport project's garden space. So,
If there's a motion and a second, we can have further discussion.
Second.
Made by Mrs. Gaines and Aaron, second by Dr. Flowers. There's discussion, Ms. Silva?
I just had a question. Haven't received my water bill a couple of days ago. Are we going to be using any water?
they will be using the same amount of water that is used for the garden that's taken care of by the Newport project. It's not a lot of water.
Okay.
Any other further discussion, Mr. Carlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Harrop, where will the Newport Arboretum place the greenhouse?
So if you're coming from the lower parking lot and you come up past the Newport project building, which if you remember from the roof project was designated as Building D, it's on the right-hand side.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just so the public and the viewers understand that this is at the physical plant of Rogers High School. Correct?
Physical point of Rogers High School, correct. So it'll be adjacent to buildings C and D, closer to where the earth starts sloping down towards the academic building, but obviously in a somewhat level surface. They'll be installing it, and they're also installing some growth there, some trees and other things that they are donating and installing as a screening measure.
Mr. Howard, is that anywhere near the, it's a garden?
Correct. It's the Newport project has their outdoor gardens. It's in that general vicinity.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to express appreciation to the Newport Arboretum for doing this.
And I will be meeting with Newport Arboretum at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon to go through more details of the entire project.
Give them our thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, and thank
Okay.
you to the Arboretum. Thank you very much. Next item is 4.2. This is a request for approval to provide additional support to the kindergarten classrooms at Pell Elementary School. Superintendent Jermaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The total overage right now, it's fluctuating all the time, but I believe it's 7. I'm looking for Ms. Westman. Is it 7 at this point in time?
7, one student has left.
Ms. Westman, would you mind?
Do you want to
Just,
come on up?
sorry.
It is 7 at this time. One student has left, but is not enrolled in another school, so we're waiting for his records. So should be 6, but it's 7 on the books at this time, yes.
So due to this, I'm requesting that we have additional support, meaning a long-term sub, to help out with our ELL students, and we still have a plan tentatively in draft form. It's not quite ready yet, but to help relieve the kindergarten classes as far as lowering the class size from them. So we're coming up with a plan, and we're going to be drafting that and sending that to you.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion and second, then we can have discussion.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Boland. Is there discussion on this item, Mr. Carlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the superintendent about this, please. What does, has this been discussed with the Teachers Association of Newport, and do they agree with this? And let me back up before you answer that. I appreciate it. My understanding of the intent of the contract we have with the Teachers Association of Newport is that when there are overages to a certain degree, we open a new classroom with presumably a new full-time teacher for that classroom. Am I understanding the contract language correctly, in your opinion?
I think that's going to be up to the lawyers, Mr. Carlin. We're in grievance with them on this right now.
Why then do you think, I appreciate your answer, why do you think that we should not open up an additional classroom with a full-time teacher to provide an education for these kindergartners?
At this point in time, the only rooms we have available are the art rooms, and at this point in time, we're trying not to take any of the art rooms. But besides that as well, and again, that's something for the lawyers to determine, that's why we're in grievance with this at the moment, is when is it appropriate to open a classroom. Part of the reason that language was put into the contract, and again, it's for the lawyers to discuss and review, is there was conditions and there was contingency plans in paying teachers for the overage. So we are going to be paying the teachers overage for the extra student, the one student they have in their classroom at this time. And going forward, it will probably be further decided once the lawyers have finished the grievance.
With great respect to the lawyers and to you, we are being asked to determine this question, and despite litigation or arbitration, it's not up to the lawyers. You're asking us as a body to effectively not open up a new classroom. And you know, we are the elected officials, the lawyers are the litigators and the arbitrators. So what you're asking us to do is to, despite the overage at the kindergarten level, not open up a classroom, and in my opinion at least, not honor the language of the contract. So I understand that the lawyers for both sides have a hold of this, this discussion, but we're being asked to decide tonight. And I'm sorry, I certainly appreciate your intents, but my suggestion would be open up a new classroom. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Gaines?
I don't have a copy of the contract in front of me, but I do think there is language in the contract, as the superintendent said, that allows for a stipend. Thank you. A stipend when there is an overage in a class. And right now we're looking at an overage of one student in 6 kindergarten classrooms. If the contract allows for that, we're not in violation of any contract language to exercise that, and I think that's what the superintendent is asking for. I would prefer that to closing another art room. We have, it's just not fair to the kids to put everything on a cart when we can do better. And one kid over in a classroom with a stipend sounds perfectly fine to me.
Mr. Jim?
Dr. Flowers, yes.
Could I ask, and if you have the figures right there, about how many students would be in that, how many students would be in that particular class with the ELL and the literacy rich?
We're still in discussion about that,
Oh, okay.
but the goal and point is to reduce the class size so that we are not above cap in the kindergarten classrooms, and to provide additional supports that are rich in literacy for our little ones, and for those students that are possibly ELL, English as a second language. So it would be able to be a more targeted instruction, and also at the same time help to support the teachers as far as trying to reduce the class size.
So it'd be a good workable number then.
Ms. Bourne?
So, I did hear some discussion. When we pull out those students, are they gonna, whose role will they be on? So they'll be on the role, like on, do we know if they're gonna be on the kindergarten teacher's role then, or are we gonna put them on in the role of the, this long-term sub? That's part of my question.
We haven't finalized the plan yet.
'Cause
We're
is it-
still going back and
is it
forth.
like by ride regulation, just so we don't get ourselves in trouble? I mean, I know they do it all over the country where they take emergent, students and put them into, the ones that are just starting to learn the language and put them in a classroom, maybe.
It's immersion? You're talking about total
Well,
immersion?
not like emergent. I mean, like kids that are just learning how to speak English. Okay, and put them together and maybe you make, more progress when you group them together and you can give them intensive, I would imagine that's what your focus is going to be here. But it is a legal way to do it, right?
Correct. We're looking into that. They do it in other school districts.
Okay.
I have a question. First of all, I don't know who put this document on our desk.
I asked for it.
So this is all, thank you, this is all I have in front of me currently, and unfortunately, for the 2015-2018 contract, it stops short of addressing if the classes go over. But it states kindergarten classes shall have a maximum of 16 kids per class without teacher assistance to a maximum of 23 students per class with a teacher assistant assigned full-time. So you guys are saying it's 24 right now?
24 and 6 in the class.
So what is the caveat to that? So we don't know, we don't have that information in front of us.
I'm just seeing this right now, tonight. I haven't read this.
This is a piece, a very small, it's a piece short of the caveat of what happens. And it was put on our desk with permission from somebody over there, or it wouldn't be here. And it's stating, the last page of it is a 2015-2018 contract. So I just need to know at what point are we going to stop. I understand the classroom and the size of this Pell school, but that's one of my burning issues, that the size of the school itself is small, and I don't want to see the children get their art room taken away. I also don't want to see them getting wedged into a classroom. So we're in a conundrum of a sort. If you ask me, what is the best case scenario? I understand Principal Westman, I believe, is working with the staff here to try to remedy this. I asked that Superintendent Jermaine ask you to go to your staff and work this out. I mean, I'm having a tough time with it myself. I mean, what if we have 20 new kids next year and we have to take both art rooms away and we just don't have a choice? I mean, where do we draw the line? The school's too small, we know that, we get that. What is the recommendation then from the administration at this point in time?
Well, at this time, what we're trying to do is we're trying to reduce the class size, and we're looking into creating a smaller environment to reduce the numbers that are in the, for instance, we have 6 classrooms that are 1 student over, and they have a para-educator per the contract, and we're looking to create an additional space for some of our students. How we work that out, we still have to go through it.
And
So I guess perhaps I'm confused because I don't know how we're going to reduce the class. If you reduce it by 1 student, one holistically overall out of those 7, that 1 child leaves will still be 6. So we're not asking people to leave.
No.
If I may finish, please, Mrs. Gaines. I say yes because that was what was laid out in front of me. That's what I heard. That's what I'm hearing. So, and I'm asking the staff who said that they work with these students and that's where we're at. And we don't want to take away an art room. I don't think anybody does. We don't want to take away the playground from the kids. We don't want to take away the music room from the kids. But we have a school that has a big problem. It's a good problem, but it's a huge problem. We have a space limitation, and I really just don't want to keep pushing these kids into a room just because of that. I mean, I'm not satisfied with the fix. Mrs. Gaines?
what I'm hearing is that by adding adults into a classroom, you reduce the ratio of student to teacher.
Right, we're
Is that
actually,
what I'm hearing?
yes, but we're actually looking for another setting. We're looking at the
Okay.
rooms we do have and seeing if we can repurpose them, and then taking the additional child, there's 1 extra child in 6 classrooms, along with some other children, and placing them in a smaller setting and working with them to focusing on the literacy, making it literacy rich, and addressing emergent English language speakers. That's what we're looking to do.
Okay.
Thereby, you're meeting the needs of these students in each class who have special needs as far as language development.
Yes, we're addressing that. So we're trying to create a compromise so we don't have to take an art room away, and at the same time provide another setting that helps reduce the class size so that it is within the contractual language.
Any further questions, discussion? Okay. Okay.
And I'm going to have to pass back to
I'm Christy Seichert. I live at 54 Sleepy Hollow Road in Tiverton, but I'm a Newport taxpayer also. I'm a science teacher at Rogers High School and the president of Teachers Association of Newport. We're disappointed at the administration's handling of the K overages. I'd like to see the research that shows that larger class sizes help kids learn. The packing of the classrooms allowed by administration at the beginning of the year is terrible. Earlier in the year, I spoke and you guys said you wanted to listen to teachers, but you didn't. The kindergarten teachers want another classroom opened. The intent of the class size language was never, those of you that were on, was to pack classes at the beginning of the year. Never. It was for that military kid that moved in, and we argued over this, came in, we weren't going to open something in December, but not to start on day 10. At day 10, you were supposed to be even. But now, I heard every K was over, they're saying just 6. When I talked to Beth today, she said, Calfan, that it was all there. Admin knew, though, in August, that we needed a 9th kindergarten. You knew. And it was like, we're going to wait and see. We don't want it, aren't sure. But now they're talking about disruptions, but if you'd opened a 9th K, you could open 2 to make it, even smaller class sizes. You didn't do it. I provided the article just about, it's kind of a generic one, it's pretty recent, about class size. It kind of pulls them all together. I had some more academic ones, but I was getting a headache, so it's like, this says large class size isn't good. I put those old contracts in there because I want you to see in 2011, just 6 years ago, it was 16 to 19 kids with a para. Then it went to 21, then to 23. So we think that bigger is better by kids. That's why I Xeroxed the pages behind you. That's why those contracts are there. So in the last 6 years, we've increased how many kindergartners, max, from 19 to 23. Now we got 24, okay? And so I just want you to understand that we have a problem. I know you have a problem. Get some modules. Open another school. This isn't going to go away. This is going to happen next year. If you had 10 kindergartens, you could have 18 kids, and that's what's best for kids. So listen to teachers. The K teachers want another kindergarten opened, and it could have been done first day of school, but you didn't do it, so thank you.
I have a question for you. So, in essence, though, aren't we hiring another teacher right now?
You're hiring a long-term sub. Oh, I don't want to. This is the first I've heard of that, so I've got to digest all this.
All right.
I've never heard this scenario. I talked to Beth right before. I've never heard this long-term sub take the ELLs away, so I can't comment on that.
So if we hired a regular teacher, so you see what they're trying to do is trying to make...
I'm not going to have a conversation about violating the contract when it should have been opened on day 10 in a public. I don't think that's appropriate. And I didn't know anything about any of this, so I'll be glad to have a discussion at a different time. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Seichert, can I ask a question of you through the chairman?
Yes.
Suppose, as the chair mentioned earlier, a good thing happened and the population of the Newport Public Schools blossomed, another 1,000, for example. Would it be appropriate to hire another 20 long-term subs? Or would it be appropriate to hire,
I think you hire a certified,
regular certified teachers?
You hire a certified kindergarten teacher that can do that. If it exposed to that, you're going to have a different facility building or something. And I don't know what that solution is. Modules, a different school. I wasn't on that committee to do that. So certified teacher, I'm not, because long-term subs are not certified. They don't have to be certified teachers. They don't have to be. They do not have to be certified teachers You don't even have to do the certification thing anymore. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Superintendent Jermaine, did you have anything further to add?
So, right along that line, so I'm going to assume, like, that this person coming in is going to be someone that's kindergarten certified. That would be somebody that spoke like that maybe had dual language, or are we going to try to, is that something that we're,
We were actually focusing on someone that was more involved with ELL.
okay.
And that's what we're looking at now, because it is what we're focusing on, the students and literacy, and getting those students up to speed aligned with our strategic plan. So we were looking more at ELL certified.
So would it be better if we hired someone as a permanent teacher to fill this? And why are we not doing that? Like, why are we just going with the sub? Because I know they don't get paid quite, they get the first 100 days or the first 20 days, it's $100, it's on a long-term sub, they're not paid.
They're paid $100 for a certain period of time, then it goes to $200, and then eventually it goes to First Step, I believe. So
It does go to first step?
I believe so. I can send that tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman? I didn't intend to ask any more questions, but it seems unusual to me. I wasn't aware that you were allowed to be compensated as a first step teacher unless and until you were a member of the Teachers Association of Newport.
I believe it's when they reach 135 days of consecutive substituting. And we can look that up, and I can look up that general law. But I believe in Chapter 16, there's something about 135 days. And if someone's in that position, I can remember way back in the dark days when I first started and I was subbing, that's how they did it. Once I worked 135 days, I received STEP. So we were trying to do that and be respectful of the teachers that are putting in their time with us during the school year.
Any further?
I would feel better if we got a real ELL teacher, I guess, like someone that, and hire, I guess hire them on, just teach on STEP. I don't know if that would help us contractually too. I don't know. I think it might be more palatable to, that if she was,
Or he.
or he would, whatever.
Okay.
Right now, the teacher that one of our ELL teachers is out on maternity leave. We had to hire a long-term sub that was ELL certified. She's doing a really good job. She's a really good fit. Our ELL population is booming. Currently, right now in K, we have 18 ELL students. 12 of them are, level 1, not speaking English, so that's why we were looking at this. But she is ELL certified, and she's a terrific fit for Bob, as far as I'm concerned.
Public amended that.
I don't know, I trust.
Would you like to see, go so many days, and then at the November meeting, if you want to, because it does have a financial impact, if you want to look at hiring someone to a full step, we can do that.
All right, I feel better. I personally would, knowing that she was on, I know it's more expensive, but.
I would also like to ask in this public forum that this is certainly not this is a situation where we're trying to make the best of what we have right now. This is in no way, shape, or form trying to, and I know I'm against it anyways, horseshoeing any more kids into a classroom. It's just, we're a little bit of time away from finding the appropriate amount of space, and it's actually one of our discussion items is facility space. It has to do with this problem. So, I mean, based on that, yeah, am I conflicted? Absolutely, but I know that I know that I've been told that there's been discussions with the teachers that actually teach in the school and what the best fixes are, and it's been up and down both sides. Yes, no, new classroom, no new classroom. Don't want extra help. Do want extra help. It depends on that particular staffer. So, based on that, I don't have any further questions. I just know that it's not an easy thing right now to do. If there's no further questions, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the temporary fix to the overage in kindergarten classes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
So noted.
Can we then get that back next month on the agenda to discuss making it a full-time position?
Okay. The next item up for discussion is 4.3. It's a request for approval for wall plaques to be installed at Pell Elementary. This is something that Mrs. Gaines had actually found in some old minutes, that there were some plaques to be put on the walls. She brought this to my attention, so Mrs. Gaines, if you just want to fill everybody in on why this was an action item.
Well, it's an action item that I'm going to ask to postpone the action on, okay? But if you look at that wall where the Pell photo is, that is a dedication wall. And during the time of construction, we did not have funds in the bond to complete the wall. And the school committee voted to have certain plaques that would go on that wall. One of them is one that would acknowledge the existence of every elementary school from 1775 to 2013. Another one would memorialize the committees that worked to get this building into existence. And the third one is a groundbreaking ceremony that marked the groundbreaking for the building of the school. And the fourth is a small one that bears a quote from Senator Pell that would go alongside his portrait. The school committee voted to do this, and we had a donor who has since deceased. So we're asking this school committee to agree to pay for the installation and completion of the plaques. I've got two estimates, but I think they're very low, and I'm not sure that would do the job. So I'm asking for another month to get some more information.
Is there any opposition to that? That being said, I guess we can withdraw that till the next agenda,
Right.
the next meeting.
So I will be asking you to look for some funds to pay for the completion of the wall.
4.4, request for approval of change order requests for the Career Tech Accessibility and Alterations. Mr. Harrop, if you could please step up and explain to us what it is that you need us to take action on this evening, where the funds are coming from, and so forth.
Sure. So, as happens with many projects when you're working on existing buildings, as you can imagine, you find some unforeseen conditions, work that needs to be completed that was not in the project documents. I think that J.G. Edwards, I'm going to give them credit because what they did was very smart. They did this additional work on time and material so they wouldn't get a lump sum number that was outrageous, that was way too high, and they paid real close attention to the numbers and actually even included a number of credits where they were giving money back to us. So, you know, the total change orders right now is at about 1.7% of the project total, and I talked to Jamie Edwards this morning. He's going to be giving us another change order that is actually a credit, so the amount would actually be reduced some. It would not be the $6,796. You know, this was needed to keep the project moving quickly, smoothly, and getting it done before the kids came back to school. And for the most part, I would say to 90%, they were able to do that. The lifts are actually being installed this week. Once those are installed, the project, for all intents and purposes, will be completed. And I think, you know, on a project of that size, to have 1.7% in change orders in the way that J.G. Edwards was able to manage it was very beneficial to the school, beneficial to us, and they did a great job. So I just think that moving forward, and there is money, so as you all know, there's that capital improvement funds, block of funds that they have on the city side that is specifically for the schools. That is what I had wanted to attach as a contingency to this project, which we didn't do, but there's far more than enough funds. I don't know the exact amount, but it's well over $100,000 that can be utilized, and the city has already said prior to the project starting that those funds could be utilized to pay for any overages.
And the amount is less than 6,769?
It's actually going to go down because he is going to get one more change credit from the plumber who was able to save us some money. So that number will actually be reduced some. He just doesn't know the total number yet.
We have a motion and a second. We can open up the
So moved.
discussion.
Second.
Ms. Boland and Dr. Flowers, any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any of those opposed? So noted. It's unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank the contractor for doing their best to keep it as close to budget as possible. And nice job watching them, too, because I know you've been watching every penny over there, Tom. Next items are up for discussion items. These items are, we'll start off, these are items that are coming up that we're going to discuss more frequently, and some of which will be setting up public forums, and we want the public to be part of these issues. Starting in November, we're going to have a number of these, but just to get the discussion rolling, we put them on tonight's agenda. The first of which is there's four of them, one of which is the district facility space, the second is transportation update, RECAS, which is the new testing program, and the superintendent will bring us up to speed on that, and also Dr. Bean, and the last one would be the change of school start and end times for Rogers, Thompson, and Pell. So we'll start the discussion off at this point in time with the district facility space. I don't think it's any secret that we are at where we're at here at this school, being that we're trying to juggle the fact that we don't want to lose any art rooms or music rooms. Unfortunately, we already have the kids up here behind us, behind this wall, in this great big beautiful school. One of the things that's going to come up on the 12th, which is Thursday night, is the facilities report is coming down from the state of Rhode Island's Department of Education on where we sit holistically as a city. Some of the real bad news is going to come down is how Rogers High School is one of the 10 worst campuses in the state of Rhode Island as far as, whether it's going to be rehabbed or not, and they brought in an outside contractor that's going to discuss that. On top of that, good news, I believe we have a good problem here. It's just a very huge problem. We have a space issue, and we really don't know the exact answer for it, but we're going to need a lot of public input and vetting, but we're also going to kind of need to pull the trigger sooner than later, because we have a deadline of the real young kids at the JFK school. We're trying to work out an agreement with them, but the fact of the matter is, right here, right now, there was an approval to get an aid in to try to help the overages in the kindergarten classes so that we don't take over a room for art. So we're squeezing these kids in as it stands right now. So the issue is going to have to come out to the public. We're going to have to talk about it aggressively, and then we're ultimately going to have to make a decision as a community what we want to do. We have no more space in the school. It's a fact. We're out of space. We're beyond out of space because the music room, which was promised to be had to everybody to enjoy, is not a music room. It's music on a cart, basically, and we know what the next. These things take a long time. We just want to start the discussion up and be transparent as to some of these issues. So that's an upcoming meeting we'll discuss, but I don't know if anybody else, Ms. Boland?
Yeah. Back, I think, when the school still was first open, we knew we had a problem. And we actually, during the planning phase, they added 2 classrooms and built those into the project and those were filled before the school even opened. So this problem, is just gets worse every year. And this is despite the fact that Whitehall came and told us that we would have a decreasing population for the next, I don't know how many years, And so Pat Kelly and I headed up that committee, and it was a really very detailed report, involved lots and lots of community members, and came up with a plan. And I think, I don't know if we can get that plan put back on the website. Maybe Marcin can put it, because I know you recently read it, didn't you, Mr. Hanos? And to read what we had done and to look at some of the ideas. And then I think, like you said, start this committee back up, and I'll volunteer to co-chair it with someone, and get wide, different people from the community on it, so that from all walks of life, and expertise, and because it's going to take, once you get the plan, it's going to take a while to get it
going.
Right, and the short-term fix is the modules that we've heard about. We already have severe congestion here as it stands, getting kids in and out of and off this campus. So just to increase the volume of children coming in and out of here is kind of a negative effect, but to get the space here and to have the kids is another effect, because these kids, this is where the kids are supposed to be assigned to school, K through 4. So these are issues that are going to come up, and then eventually we will need to, but the real short-term fix could be that we just modules, which will be, obviously an expense to the district, but it's something that can offer us classrooms. There's several around the state. We're supposed to go out and start to visit these things to see what they are, what they look like, where we can put them. But Ms. Jermaine, I don't know if you can add anything further on that.
So I think it was North Smithfield went against them, so they don't have them now.
They didn't do it.
No, they didn't do it. They were going to do it and go forward. In the backup you have tonight, I think there's also, Mrs. Boland, I think there are options. I believe that was that Pell Enrollment Options Subcommittee.
Right.
That is in your backup, so all the different alternatives you had. I don't know if it's the chair wants to share out any of the possibilities or wait for a workshop in your backup that there is with you tonight.
Well, I mean, this stuff has a whole lot of things in it. I guess it's on. Is you talking about page 1 of 2?
Correct.
What is that one?
I can't open mine for some reason.
We're looking at the options.
Yeah, the executive, the background for pre-K, different locations, some of the properties that the
Leasing the
city took
modular
back.
classrooms at Pell, all K classes at an alternate site, 3 mixed grade level classrooms, and pre-K to alternate site, 4K classes at alternate site, PK through K, 2 classes at each grade level at an alternate site. We have a lot of alternate site options here, but I know at the end of the day, that group came up with a packet of 3 pretty solid decisions that was well vetted, and I believe that's the one that Ms. Boland is talking about. We may need a combination of that, and due to the fact that we're having, we've actually gone through the history of getting kids in and out of here, and to increase the amount of children that are going to be in here, whether you split those start times or not is another big discussion, or if we do need to choose an alternate site just to give some relief to the traffic flow in this general vicinity, considering we have 8 years of bridge traffic or bridge work going on. I mean, they seem like they did a good job today. I don't know if they were working and the lanes were open, but it was easy to get here. It's not typically easy to get here after between 2 and 6. It's a nightmare. Kind of cuts the north end of the city right off. So these are things that I will be looking, or we will be looking for as a group to work diligently, swiftly. If we can put the stuff up on the website for individuals to look at the 3 options that were vetted several years ago, and we can certainly go from there. But my hope and my desire is to get, these workshops going quickly, in November to get them started. Even
I
if it's
think
just
Thursday will be a good start for
Well,
that.
Thursday evening itself, hopefully people can go. It's at Rogers High School. What are the exact, is it
6 to 8, 6
6 to
o'clock
8.
to 8 o'clock.
Yeah, the governor, the
Treasurer.
treasurer, and then representatives from Rhode Island Department of Education are going to be here. They're going to be basically talking about, how they did the statewide view of what the condition of the facilities are. So their main focus will be on the Rogers High School campus and what type of shape that's in and the amount of monies that's expected to be put in and why they decided to put them on a list if they'd rather not put more money into that building that it more or less needs to be replaced rather than repaired at this point in time.
Right, and then it's also going to consider the reimbursement process and how strategically the city wants to look at it. If the city wants to bundle all your needs now, and then consider that to be some kind of bond option going forward, that's something for the committee to decide. And also, I would imagine you'll have to work with the city council as well if you're going to go to bonding. And I believe it's Thompson is off the rolls in 2020 or 2021. And what I mean by that is we're paying on a bond right now for Thompson Middle School, and that comes off the rolls starting in 2020 or 2021. So as far as timing from a city perspective or trying not to have an impact on all our taxes, that may be something strategically, committee, council, everyone wants to have a discussion. I believe also they'll share with you on Thursday night to think about it and what are your needs and try to get as much of them, especially with Newport, on the table as quickly as possible because of our reimbursement rate and because of the immediate needs we have right now. So I think you're going to be hearing that, and they're going to want to hear from the community. What does the community want? What do the parents want? What would they like to see in the school systems?
And there will be representatives here from the city. There will be.
I believe the council,
Yeah, I was told last night.
oh, okay, was invited as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's
It's an open
community-
meeting.
It's a community issue because ultimately we're all in this together. So we're going to try and lay it out as transparent, as plain as it is, but the simple fact of the matter is just this one particular campus alone, which is brand new and beautiful, is just too small. So we have to deal with that, and now that we get the news that we all thought we were going to get about Rogers, we're going to have to deal with that as well, the Rogers High School campus. Is there any further discussion?
I was just going to say, I had the opportunity to speak to the treasurer yesterday, and he wants to hear from the people about Pell School too, because I was telling him how it's way too small, and he's very interested. I think it is the time that we start considering doing something permanent. Yes.
Ms. Bowler?
We also want to start a discussion about the reimbursement rate, because I know that, I think Mrs. Gaines worked with, with Teresa Parva-Weed back when, and we got it raised back when we did Pell, and I know that in high poverty schools in Providence, how much, some of them are 80%. So if they want to take care of their worst 10 schools, I think they need to up the ante here a little bit, because that's a huge investment, 50 million. But if we continue to just keep putting money, we just did the roofs, I guess it was 3 million for the roof?
Yes.
And we keep pouring money into it, it makes no sense whatsoever if we're going to, start over. So, let's try that discussion, make sure we put it up.
We're going to need a lot of help with our friends in the school system to get this one through, because we know how long it takes. Any of us from Newport know how long it takes to get this done. Transportation update issue, we've had a couple of positive things, I hope, come out of the issues that have been brought to us. And again, we need to hear about them. The information, if a student misses, there's no bus to an event, there's no bus to whatever event that might be, or you're having a difficult time getting a hold of the busing company, the busing company is supposed to have somebody at the office during the routes. So not necessarily in the middle of the day, but when those buses are running, the contractual obligation for the busing company is to have somebody in that office to answer the phone or emails or something. What they also promised us that they hadn't gotten done, but we put some pressure on them, is to get the app out for the bus so you can track the bus that your child is supposed to be on. Now, if your child's on a different bus, that's another story. But that stuff is up and running as of earlier in the week. If you're having an issue with it, they have tech people on their side with the app itself. And if there's anybody planning on moving, or you're changing areas, or what, they said that they would be very accommodating in that. But if you're going to move and you need your child picked up in another area, or they're not being picked up at the stop that they were supposed to be picked up at, we're working out a lot of these issues. We've had two pretty long, stern conversations with the busing company, say that we really want to work together with them, and they've been complying in certain areas and they've been struggling in other areas, but we need to have the feedback coming back and funneled through either the Secretary Kathy Nash's office, or via email or whatever. Your child didn't get home till late, or they missed, apparently there may have been a bus that was missed just the other day to take kids to a sporting event, and those things don't fly with us, but we need to know about them so we can get on the busing company. I mean, other than that, as far as the transportation update is concerned, Ms. Jermaine, Ray was at the meetings with me. There were 3 representatives from the busing company and 3 of us, and I think we had some pretty stern conversations with them that, the parents weren't really excited. And I don't know, does anybody out, in show of hands, anybody using the app at all? Did anybody try it? Oh. That didn't go out?
I thought it went out. I'll have to check.
Superintendent Jermaine, with a show of hands from the 7 people sitting on this thing,
Nobody has it.
can somebody please get that out by tomorrow?
Yep, I
So
thought it
these
went out.
parents can utilize this app.
Nobody had it?
I thought I saw something.
That will be fixed tomorrow.
Yep. Or,
Promise you that.
or in the next 30 minutes.
Well, you can't sit up here and say that it was out when it's not out. And if I didn't ask that question, who was going to stand up and tell me? Jennifer, thank you. Yeah, well, telling me after doesn't necessarily help if I'm saying it and people are watching me and they think that it's out and it's not. So thank you we're going to get that fixed. I don't have anything else on the transportation update. Any questions on it? Ms. Boland, you were concerned about the amount of buses that they were supposed to have in reserve to do this. We spoke to them and stated if they ran out of buses or bus broke down, that they actually pull in from another district or they'll hire out. And I guess a private coach was actually given to us to get some kids to an event because they just didn't have a bus or a driver. So they are doing the best that they can to.
I also thought, I know they said that while the buses are on the road, make sure that they're in the office when all the preschools are moving around. So that's like it's most of the day when you start adding that up.
Right.
So we just like do some test calls, make sure they're on their toes. That's very frustrating, especially to someone who's got their 3-year-old on the bus.
Incidentally, one of the parents actually downloaded the app, I guess, prior to it going live, and they were able to get on. I don't know how, but the bus company told us that someone just looked it up online, clicked on it, and got on it before it went live, and they were able to track their child. I don't know how they did it, but.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Collin?
I think there's a member of the public who would like to speak on this.
Yes. Please. Just so everybody can hear your concern and your question. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Michelle McComb. I have a first grader. I just wanted to speak about the transportation with the bus. So my son's bus, he's on bus 10, and it picks him up at 8:28, 8:29. And then the bus, he's the last one to get picked up. And we're basically on the corner of Broadway and my Antinomy, pretty much. So it takes maybe 3 minutes to get to school. And he's sitting on that bus. He's not allowed to get off the bus until 8:45, until the doors open. And I only knew that because there was one day where we rode our bikes to school, and we got here at 8:30, and I said, how come there's 3 buses sitting outside and the kids are all on it? And one of the teachers who was standing outside the door by the lower school said, oh, they're only sitting on the bus for a couple of minutes. And I said, well, I've been here since 8:30, and they're sitting on the bus, and I know what time my son gets picked up from school. So that's happened several times because I now drive him to school, and I know that's discouraged. So, and I think you're gonna find a lot more parents doing that because they don't want their kids sitting on a bus for 15 minutes. With 3 kids per seat sometimes, so that's a lot to ask for a first grader, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's several buses that do that. Kind of bus 11, the bus driver verbally told everyone to come in 10 minutes earlier than their scheduled time, and they got here starting about 8:20.
Buses.
Which bus is that? Bus 11 needs to be dealt with too. They're asking the children to show up 10 minutes early.
Yeah, they might send me actually 2 years night. Her original bus stop was 8:22, the bus driver said.
And bus 10 was an issue? And bus 11?
Yeah, there's several buses that are.
Okay, we'll look into it with Principal Westman and
Thank
find
you.
out what's going on.
Absolutely. Has anyone raised this with the principal or asked the principal about this?
Well, school doesn't open till 8:45, so they can't let the kids off the bus till 8.
No, they open the doors at 8:30, so if students want to come in.
So if they're not having breakfast, they can't.
Okay, I'll follow
Well,
up.
we can make arrangements that just because the child's not eating breakfast, that the child can't come into the school. But again, the feedback, the funnel, the course, the way, the complaints, you can email us too, but we gotta have this holding house so we can hold the busing company accountable. We don't know all of these issues when they come in singularly, but this is just another way. There is the One Newport app where you can file you can instantly file an issue with the school committee, with Pell School, with Thompson Middle School, with Rogers High School. If you're talking about the school committee of the Newport, that goes directly to me. That'll buzz on my hip, well, in the other room, it's gonna buzz tonight. It's not on my hip. Most of the time it is. Those are areas of you can give, praise or whatever, any type of input you want. You can do it anonymously, or you can let us know who you are. And that's an instantaneous link to any one of the things. If you want to just go right directly to the campuses, I believe, I could be wrong, do they go to the principals at the campuses? They do. So the principal will get that, and then they'll have a history of it. Once we have that history, not only will it fix it, it'll also give us a log of the amount of times these issues have actually occurred, and we can have, a better discussion and a more stern discussion with the busing company. Ms. Boland?
Another concern would be there's an anti-idling rule here, and so you can't idle. What, you can't idle? So that's 15 minutes sitting on a bus would get very cold very quickly, in a month from now. So I think we need to definitely take care of that issue. And kids sitting on a bus is a safety issue,
Thank you. We're going to look into that.
Yes, and the app was not uploaded. What did get out was the announcement about the meeting next Thursday. My fault, I got the two confused. The app's going to be uploaded in the next 30 minutes.
So look for it. Thank you, whoever let us know. RICAS is Rhode Island Comprehensive Assessment System Preparation. Dr. Bean, if you could please, I don't know if you knew that you were going to speak on this. This will be the new testing that we're using to replace PARC in the state of Rhode Island.
So the Rhode Island Comprehensive Assessment System is replacing PARC, and some of the differences with the testing is we'll no longer be using the comprehensive assessment system in the high school. So we're going to be using PSATs and SATs for grades 10 and 11. So 9th grade and the seniors will not be tested. Also, it's a decrease in the number of sessions for students in grades 3 through 8. So it will still be computer-based. It will still be English and math and science, but the number of sessions will be decreased and the length of time will be decreased. So for example, in English language arts, in grades 6 through 8, they had three sessions, and they lasted anywhere from about 90 minutes. They told us to plan for 90 minutes. Sometimes they went longer than 90 minutes. Those will now be 2 sessions in grades 6 through 8. Mathematics was 3 sessions with PARC, and now grades 3 through 8, it will be 2 sessions. For for this year, the science test, that changed. It will be 2 sessions. It'll be computer-based, and it will be for grades 5, 8, and 11 instead of grades 4, 8, and 11. So those are some of the initial changes to that. We've had trainings for the administrators on the broadcast through the Department of Ed, and we've also, I've been meeting with the principals to do what's called a crosswalk document. So RIDE provided us K through 8 with crosswalk documents, and I've met with all the administrators. They're going to be working on these documents with their staff at faculty meetings and at common planning. And basically what these crosswalk documents do is they look at the Common Core standards, they map it off to the MCAS, the Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment Tool, which is what we're mirroring in Rhode Island. And so they compare the language of the assessments from the Massachusetts state assessment and what's the implications for our curriculum. So basically what we've done, the curriculum directors around the state, we ran this protocol amongst ourselves and did the crosswalk documents. a lot of it is just some language, terminology. There's, the Common Core standards are the Common Core standards. So the assessment isn't going to have a big curriculum impact in terms of the change going from PARC to the RICAS. So that's where we're at right now in terms of the change for the state assessment.
Ms. Gaines?
So the big difference is in length of time and number of sessions.
Correct. And that we switched the grades in science. So 4th grade will no longer take the science test. It'll go 5, 8, and 11. And again, in the science, it went down from 3 sessions to 2.
That's great.
Ms. Bowen?
Yeah, so in the high school, they're going to be taking, everybody will be required to take the SAT in the 11th grade, or just the PSAT in the 10th grade?
No, it's the state assessment will now be PSAT grade 10 and SAT grade 11.
So they're going to do both. And are we paying, like,
That's the state assessment, so the state's
state
paying.
is paying for it? Okay, just
Right.
wondering. It is an
Right.
expensive test. And the good thing about those tests is you get, like, immediate feedback, like 6 weeks later.
Correct.
So that's, and these other tests, you don't hear about it until October,
Right.
from taking them in the spring. So,
Yeah, and just like the SAT that students would take on Saturdays, they're going to be able to select the colleges that they want the SATs to go to as well. And we did this year. This year was a pilot, doing the PSATs and the SATs. And most of the districts are seeing much better results as we figured, because the kids see some relevance to the PSAT and the SAT. They're, like, there's skin in the game, so to speak. So that we're finding that the students take it a lot more seriously.
and are they going to take those during school time or still
Yes,
on the weekends?
yeah, it's the state, students can still do the Saturday SATs if they want, but they'll be paying for that. But these are the state assessments, but they'll also be able to send them to the colleges of their choice.
And I know that we're, at least in the probability class, the first quarter, the kids were spending doing SAT prep, which is great, because a lot of these kids don't know how to take a test, like the ins and outs. And so, hopefully that all the kids will get that kind of, training up there.
Right, and Principal Vance and I, we've been meeting and will continue to meet to look at the SAT, PSAT prep work. There's a lot of great information on the RIDE website with simulation tests, essays, prompts, benchmark tests that the teachers can use to look at, how kids are scoring. So there's a lot of great information on the RIDE website.
We have a question from the...
I have a question about that. My name is Jessica Coulter. I had a 10th grader, and I had no idea about the PSATs were happening this year, so that's great to know. I have a question. If they're going to be using PSATs and SATs as state assessment, as well as being able to send them to college, what is that prep, PSAT prep and SAT prep, what is that actually going to look like? Because typically, you get a little bit of prep, but usually if you want to help your kids who have trouble with testing or have IEPs, you have to really go outside and pay for that. So what is that going to look like if these are also going to be used for state testing as well as college testing?
Right. So really, in terms of test prep, our curriculum is based on the Common Core, and what they're testing us on is the Common Core. So what they should be getting in their classrooms on a daily basis should be preparing them. But in order to simulate test sessions, there's a lot of great stuff on the website that as a parent, if you wanted to, look at some of the examples, but in the classroom, they'll be looking at the certain passages that we have, just like when we do, for example, the science kneecap. When the science kneecap testing comes out, we look at the inquiry task. We look at pieces of student writing and how they fared when they had to kind of discuss their procedural steps in solving the science experiment. So teachers use these examples so that students can look at, you know, what scored a 4, what scored a 3, how would you tweak it so that, you know, it makes more sense. These are the kinds of examples that teachers would be using in the classroom. So,
Okay, I want to make sure I conceptualize what you're saying correctly. So will there be a specific time frame in which teachers, because this is college, this is like a big deal.
Right.
And if they're going to do it for free in school, then I'm not going to try to figure out how to pinch my pennies to try to pay for outside help.
Right.
So is there going to be a specific protocol or time expressed to the parents, like, okay, PSATs are this date, so we're going to, is there going to be some kind of communication so that we know when they're going to be doing it?
Yeah, I mean, there's set times that we have to test the students, so you'll be getting all that information, but like I just mentioned, Principal Vance and I are just starting to meet to roll all of this out, so he'll be sending home information about, you know, helpful links that you can go to, and what the teachers are doing in the classroom to support the students, when the testing will come. I mean, we always send out letters to parents to let you know, like, you know, testing's coming up next week, please make sure, you know, you're getting plenty of sleep, you're getting a good breakfast, don't be absent, because it's really hard for kids to make up the testing. So,
and can they take the PSATs more than once? Because I know typically if you take the PSATs once and you don't do well, you can take it again.
No, for the state testing, they'll take the PSAT once.
Okay.
Okay, but like we're doing the PSATs right now with our 11th grade students.
So this year, 10th graders are not taking it, correct?
No, the 11th grade students some of the 11th grade students are taking PSATs right now.
Okay.
Okay, but 10th graders will take PSATs this year, part of their state testing. They did it last year too.
Okay.
Yeah, in the spring. It's in the spring.
In the spring.
So we
okay,
have-
that's
we
what I
have
was
a-
trying to figure out. Okay.
You have a little time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Dr. Bean, did you also state that there's like a test simulator so the child would at least know what to expect? They could do this at home through a link?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there's at least a way the child could
Yeah.
at least see or know what to expect? Or basically at school, at some point, they could do the link in the
Right.
school itself.
And the community school is working really closely with Principal Vance on providing tutoring and supports after school. So we could set up, you know, test prep sessions for students too.
Okay.
Question.
Ms. Boland?
Yeah, so the SATs, you know, when you're applying for college, they take your best score. Are they going to only take the score that the one they paid for? So if a student takes that test 3 times, which I've had some of my kids do, are they going to take the best score if they improve on it? Or is it only going to be the one that was given at that specific day?
No, students have the option. I mean, it's going to be our state assessment.
Right,
So
so
they're going to take it in
So they can only
May.
use the one,
Right.
they're only
But
going to use.
students can still sign up and go to a Saturday SAT session. You know, we're a host site, right? And so we run them like 3 times a year as a host site on Saturday mornings.
But my point was, could they use their better score for the state assessment, or that only that particular day? You know what I mean? Like, so if they improved on it.
Let me look into that, because I'd hate to say, I would think so, but let me look into
Just
that,
an
okay?
interesting
Yeah.
concept.
Mitch, did you have something?
My name is Mitchell Jackson. I live at 38 Dudley Avenue. I have a kid at Thompson, and I have one at Pell. My question is, what are we doing now? I understand all the prep work that you're doing for high school, but if we're to inspire these kids to get them to get there and to go to college and to get a job in Newport, what are we doing now? I've been to these meetings over and over again, and I've asked guidance counselors, what can you do to help my teenage child who wants to be an astronaut? and graphic designer, and a young man who wants to be a soldier and who wants to be a football player, and his second thing is a firefighter. What are we doing? Because if we're just going to prep just for high school, we've missed the whole parade. The parade is past us. I understand. It's a question, true, and there might not even be an answer. But what are we doing? Because if I'm doing my part at home, the whole circle is bringing the community together. And at the point where you're just doing high school and high school prep, what are you doing for the middle school where we missed them already before they get to high school? It shouldn't just be just my two. It should be everyone's kid. Let's get them all prepped up from elementary all the way through. Let's get every kid that starts in preschool in Newport to college.
And you're right. I didn't mean to say we're only working with the high school. So originally I mentioned that I met with all the principals. So I've been going through these crosswalk documents with all the principals. So at Thompson, they have the same documentation on how to walk through the test prep. And they've all been to the training with RIDE on what the changes are with the RIDEcast. But in terms of inspiring your child that's at Thompson.
Can I just put every?
Right.
Okay.
For every child. So one of the things that our college and career coordinator and our team at the high school has been talking about, and Robert Young, is instead of coming down and talking with the 8th graders, we want to start coming down and talking with the 5th and 6th graders about the opportunities that are at the high school. So we want to go a lot younger this year with some of the opportunities that students have when they come to the high school. So this summer, we just had a group of students from the P-Tech program taking courses at CCRI this summer. And some of those students were 9th graders who probably didn't think when they were 5th graders at Thompson that that's what they would be doing this summer. So, there's exciting things to look forward to, and you're absolutely right. So we want to start inspiring our students over at Thompson a lot earlier. And I apologize if you felt like the focus was just on high school.
No. It was what it was said, and that's how it was presented.
Mm-hmm.
And my frustration comes when my kid was going into 5th grade. She knew what she wanted to be then. I mean, still in every kid I come through, and my elementary school kid is doing the same thing. So if I'm going to give them every opportunity I can, and there's no one on the other side to say, let's give in to you as well, everything that dad does is not cool. But if his friends is doing it, and if her friends are doing it as well, you make the whole community better. So it's not just one and one and we have a full community. No, we have everyone putting into the pot of Newport, and we're better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Boland?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, at the middle school, I know they have college, like Fridays, where they all wear and I know that college is just one avenue that they can go, but it's very inspiring. The teachers all talk about, how they pick their, they're given vocation and inspire kids and talk about college and where you're going in life. So, just by the nature, I think, teachers, that kind of discussion comes up often, in a classroom, and I would hope that it would continue.
I think to Mr. Jackson's point also, I think we are developing and looking at more curriculum. The SMILES programs that we have going on at all different levels, after-school programs that inspire the students to participate more in the sciences and in the math area and the technology. We have outside vendors that are coming in, working with our students on after-school programs. We're looking at the curriculum, to Dr. Band's point, focusing on the skills and foundations at the elementary, and then looking at how we can ramp it up at the middle school. So the hands-on opportunities, we are working all across all the levels, and we agree that we know if by 4th or 5th grade we haven't kept their interest, we're going to lose them. So we're focusing more and more on that. And the individual learning plans, which are going to be piloted, which is part of our strategic plan, is going to happen in 6th grade, I believe it is, and we're going to have 50 to 100 students or 50 students. We're piloting that, and that's focused just on their interests and their passions, and we're going to be following that and having more and more students participate on that. But you're right, it starts sooner.
And the final discussion item for this evening would be ultimately looking at the start times of schools. Rogers High School, Thompson Middle School, and Pell, being that it seemed like it might be a little bit of a struggle to organize geographically where the buses are going back and forth. But we want the input from the parents, obviously, about the students and things like that. That's going to be another workshop that we're going to do. Clearly, we can't do these things in one night. That's why they're not action items, but we are just opening up the discussion and letting you guys know that these are things that we are going to be working on aggressively, and we're going to need the input. So, grab 3 or 4 of your friends when we have that meeting. I'm going to try to also ask, is it better in the evening or is it better on a weekend? And if it pleases the group, we'll do one of each. That way, if people are working at night or they have kids busy on a weekend doing sporting events, we want to make it as, we want to get as many people there as possible. And then we could also, we're probably going to issue out surveys through either SurveyMonkey or some other item to list the questions that we want to hear back from you guys. These things are the easy, quick things, but we also need like that extra dialogue from you, something written as to why and what, and ideas and thoughts about how the time changes have worked. Jennifer, did you want to talk about?
I signed up to talk
On this one?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
ma'am.
no, that's fine.
All right, Jennifer Jackson, 38 Dudley Ave, 3rd grader, 7th grader. I'm here, there's people that was not able to come. There's students at Rogers who are trying to compose a petition to change the times back. I was approached by a parent, and I just real quickly want to say it's not completely composed yet because I'm trying to get all the statistics and everything before I make the petition. But these are some of the concerns of our Rogers High School students. Is need more work hours available, food, don't have enough time to get food in between, practices, no time to do extra work or struggle to finish homework, games, get home late after away games, no time for homework, and the timing, making us lazy and exhausted because we don't get enough sleep. This is our students talking. This has nothing to do with me. Me as a parent, I would like to see the old times go back. It was, I don't think it was broke and it needed to be fixed. I know the study that you guys are talking about. I read several articles in several well-known magazines about it. I'm still conflicted because it says puberty. Puberty starts in junior high. Because I know the study says when you go through puberty, you need more sleep. Most kids start puberty in junior high, but here we are having our junior high kids at school at 7:45. And I have asked, has the disciplinary issues at the junior high level increased due to lack of sleep of the students? I don't know. That's just a question I threw out there because, when we're tired, what do? Our patience are thin, our attention level is lower, and at that age, we tend to act out because we don't know what to do with ourselves because we can't comprehend, I'm just tired. And last visit, I asked if changing the times helped with the attendance rate. I went on RIDE, the info.ride.ri.gov, and in a part of it, there's a thing called FRED, F-R-E-D. I'm telling everybody you should check it out. It's a little hard to navigate, but you can get your statistics there. Attendance rate in 2015 to 2016 at our elementary level, 95%. At 2016, 2017%, our elementary level was 94%. And at the middle school in 2015-16, it was 94%, and in 2016-2017, it was 93%. And then for our high school in 2015-2016 was 90%, and for 2016-2017% was 88%. So if we were doing this in hopes, we had all the right intents. It's right off the RIDE site, I can guarantee you. And if we hoped to change the attendance rate, obviously changing the time didn't work. We were better at the old rate. If you need to, I can pull it up on a computer, but it is at the infowork.ride.gov, and I even called the office, and someone at RIDE walked me through it and told me how to get it. So I'm not pulling this out of air. I called there and got information, and the guy walked me through it to pull the statistics up. And I just think that when you do that forum, my other thing was that when you do that forum, think of allowing students to come to speak. So we might want to consider times when students can come and talk.
Absolutely.
And the other thing with the survey, be parents. I don't know if you realize, do the surveys. Not a huge percentage of us, but those that do take the survey. Last survey that was sent out was about the winter vacation. Parents said take it away. Staff said keep it. When you combine the two, the numbers were very, very close. You guys went with the staff and not the parents. So as a parent, how am I going to feel? Why am I going to fill that out? Because obviously my voice doesn't trump anybody else's. Something else to kind of think about. But thank you.
Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, I'm glad you commented about the online surveys, because when surveys are taken, if you're looking at any kind of research, you do need a sizable number to make the results valid. And it seems that's part of the problem. If you could get everyone who is involved to respond, say all of the, excuse me, all of the students who are being impacted by the change of time. That would be one survey right there. That could be done, I mean, just right in the school. Like I talk about methodology right now. And to work out what the deviations are. That's a statistics course there. And when parents and caretakers are questioned about this, to really indicate, I'm talking about my child at the high school, or my child at Thompson, or at the elementary school, that is the opportunity to get the real, honest-to-goodness data. And the interesting part is that when we look at our daily attendance reports, even though the high school has started later, we still have a certain group, I have no idea who they are, but the certain number of tardiness. Now, of course, that's being addressed by the project of reducing the absenteeism and tardiness. Chances are it's pretty much the same people. But just as when Mrs. Jackson mentioned about the survey concerning winter and spring vacations, it kind of balanced. So there really wasn't a valid test of the whole thing. So if we're going to get feedback, we need feedback from everyone who is involved in that particular point. It just has to be. Otherwise, we're going, the people who want school to start later will be all offended if we started earlier, and vice versa. It just seems that there has to be consensus. And we know what consensus is. I might not agree with it, but I'll go along with it. And that's what's going to happen.
Okay, well, I do hope that people take the time to do the surveys, because I know I looked through them and based my opinion on that, and based upon the parents versus the staff, and the staff who are actually parents. You know, you get to weigh in all that too, because I do ask those questions. Out of the staff, which staff are actually parents of Newport Public School kids that would also affect them as a parent, not just a staff member. So we do look at a lot of the issues that you bring up, but I know we look at the data and we try to base it upon the best. Yes? If you don't want any surveys, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm telling you from the chair that I need to hear it. If we make a decision, we get executed. 3 hours of getting shot at. So we're not here to get shot at. We're here to hear from you guys so you can tell us what we do or what you'd like to see. So honestly, if there's a different venue, like maybe we go to the PTO meetings or some other thing you guys want to do, let us know. It doesn't have to be a survey that you burned out on, but if that conduit from you to us doesn't actually get here, and then we're asked to make a decision, and then I got to come up here in Kevlar one night for 3 hours and take a beating, then that's not really the way things go. If we can hear it and we get a good semblance of what we want, then hopefully we can make policy for what the majority would like to see, and that's what we're after. So if there's a better way to do it, then great. I mean, yeah, absolutely, and we're all for that. So if that's something if you have another way, maybe we can just have like a get-together, a dinner one night, and just go over and just chat about it, where it's not a survey. Honestly, I don't have an issue with that. If you have we used to have the nights where everybody would come in and make an own dish from their own native home. They'd have a dish one night, and everybody would come to the school, and the place would be bursting at the doors, and that might be a night that you have a venue for. Now, anything like that would maybe get more input or more people to do it. I hear what you're saying. Sure.
If it's passing them out, we do a survey time, but maybe we pass out a sporting event, or PTO meeting, or international night, or we get all the different segments of the community.
Yeah.
Send the link, people don't want to click on it, they don't want to take the survey.
Okay.
Impersonal, and they're like, send us the survey.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's going to get us more responses, we're all for that, so. What are we looking for? I'm going to be looking for you for that, too. The next would be the consent agenda.
I move passage of the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So noted.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could we have the superintendent give us what we just passed in appointments, transfers?
Sure. We welcoming any new members to the public school team, Superintendent Jermaine? That may
Yes.
want to know?
Yes, we do. Dominic Petsy will now be a full-time music teacher at Rogers High School. Patrick Wygant, filling in for Mr. John Hano, who is now the dean, will be in a one-year-only social studies teacher. He went from a .8 to a full-time. Ashlyn Russo, we had a step review, so we're glad we caught that on Ashlyn. Christine Jones is our new STEM specialist at Thompson Middle School, and she's also a military wife, so we're welcoming her to our staff. And Laura Clark will now join Thompson Middle School as part of your initiatives to help support behaviors at Thompson Middle School, and she'll be a health counselor, mental health counselor for our students.
Was she director of the mall?
Yes, she was with, yes.
Excellent.
I also want to thank one of our employees for 29 years of service. We're also accepting Susan Dias's retirement letter, and I'll just read it quickly. I wish to tender my letter of retirement effective February 1st, 2018. I've enjoyed working in the Newport Public Schools as a para and custodian for close to 29 years. My various roles, I have had a great time bonding with the students and watching them grow, which has been very rewarding to me. Newport Public School employees have been like my family, and I appreciate the time I've spent here. It's been my pleasure to work with such a dedicated staff, administrators, teachers, and especially support. And we'd like to thank you, Susan, on your retirement in February and for all of your due diligence. Thank you very much. Next would be monthly correspondence. We have a letter from Van Buren Charitable Foundation, and here it states, on behalf of Van Buren Charitable Foundation's Board of Directors, I am pleased to inform you that the Foundation's August 2017 meeting, a $260,000 grant payable to the Newport Partnership for Families, was approved for the Chronic Early Absenteeism Truancy Reduction Initiative over 3 years from 2018 to 2020, and I want to thank the Van Buren Foundation for that very charitable gift.
Great. The work continues.
Yes.
The next would be the reports from the superintendent. We have 6 of them. Their expenditure, public school restricted grants, enrollment reports, homeless reports, chronic early absenteeism, and the superintendent's updates, partnerships, and collaboration. So Superintendent Jermaine, if you could just walk us through those and bring us up to date.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Roy is here for if you have any comments or questions about the financials. They're both here. We do continue to move along. We're going to be doing a more detailed analysis this month as far as staffing, and we're actually going to start to prep for next year's budget during this month.
Are we on target for a balanced budget, or are we about where we need to be this time of the year? within our school budget.
So as of now, what you saw that our expenditure is in line what we had in last year. We're actually a little less than what we had last year. So looks like we're in target, but we're going to do a deep down analysis and figure out that, where we are if we need to do, because we're hiring new staff and we want to make sure that we have enough in there. So we'll do an analysis on that.
Any questions for Mr. Roy? Thank you.
On the homeless report, you'll see in June, we had 32 families with 57 students and 12 non-school age children that were homeless. Right now, we have approximately 25 families in our community with 50 students and 8 non-school age children that are presently homeless. So we're watching that very closely and carefully. We also have our chronic early absentee truancy reduction initiative. This past Friday, some of you were in attendance for the Kids Count, Newport Partners for Families annual meeting presentation, and a lot of data was shared with us that will go along with the C-Tree grant you just announced that we received from Van Buren to continue to study the work of why children are chronically absent. And for the audience, chronically absent means those children are missing 18 or more days of school per school year. And research is showing that actually by grade six, the amount, those that are chronically absent by grade 6 is usually a better indicator than grade 8 achievement scores or their grade 9 grades as far as whether or not they will pass high school successfully. So we'll continue to do that work with the C-Tree. You'll also see that we do continue to monitor the attendance, to Mrs. Jackson's point on the Fred that she reported out on RIDE. We do continue to monitor the attendance as we go forward. And we are implementing new initiatives as far as having more mentoring. We're having more focused monthly meetings with the staff. I've been asked to chair those with each grade level, each school level, to monitor what's happening in the schools as far as attendance and tardies. The partnerships. You did receive from the District Management Council Group from Boston. I actually did seek out a scheduling proposal to have some kind of workshop and have an analysis on how we schedule our students, middle school through high school, in how they receive the curriculum, and also are we putting our dollars where we say we have our priorities. So I've reached out to the Rhode Island Foundation. I have a meeting with them this week to see if we can receive some funding for that. In January, Van Buren has invited me to attend their board meeting in New York to share out the Newport Public Schools strategic plan, and Van Buren will cover the travel expenses. The 2019 budget, as I mentioned, we're starting to work with the building principals, and we've asked them to start mapping out the staffing that they feel they'll need based upon this year's enrollment and possibly going forward next year, moving those students forward. The bar grant and high school visits, for some of you in the audience, you may have been attending some high school visits to other high schools in the area. This grant work is continuing. The teams are going to visit 12 to 14 different high schools throughout New England to get ideas on different ways of presenting curriculum, teaching and learning, and they're going to bring that back and hopefully put a plan together for the high school. And the Nellie Mae community conversations, we're hoping to be starting those very soon. Some of you here on the committee have been trained for those conversations going forward. And the focus of those community conversations, which we're hoping to start at the end of October, are going to be about the public schools. It's going to ask for parent input. It's going to ask what's working, what's not working, and it's also going to speak to, I believe, racial diversity was one of the topics the group wants to focus on. Those are my community updates.
Thank you. I think that brings us to the time of the meeting where we're just going to discuss the future meeting dates and about wrap it up. What I have before us now is the next meeting we have scheduled is a Rogers High School open house, which is October 11th, or tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. On Thursday the 12th, the Governor's School Construction Working Group at 6 p.m. That's in the Rogers High School auditorium.
On October 16th, we have the liaison subcommittee meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Newport Public Library, where members of the school committee meet with members of the city council and discuss ongoing issues. We have the Newport School Committee regular meeting scheduled at 6:30 at Pell, and we're going to keep them here for the foreseeable future, just because there's a lot more people that tend to come here when we just like it here. So we're going to continue to have it here in case someone's accidentally shot down to the wrong school. We're going to continue to have it right here. On the 16th, we have the Wellness Subcommittee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the Career Tech Room 924. And on December 12th, that's also another scheduled regular meeting for the school committee. Other than that, I don't have any meetings or dates yet other than the ones that are before me, unless somebody has something that I'm unaware of.
I don't have anything of you, but I hope I didn't miss this. I might have lost. Did you mention in your report the Siemens Church Institute program that is being developed?
I did mention it in my updates. I did not mention it publicly, and what Mrs. Gaines is referring to. So in grade 2, we have our children taking swimming lessons with the Boys and Girls Club in the Y. Grade 3, they work with Save the Bay to learn about the environment and the oceans. Grade 4, they are now sailing with Sail Newport, very popular. Our children are now taking sailing lessons. And in grade 5, starting next year, our Thompson Middle School students will start going to the Siemens Institute. They're creating an educational learning center there, but our students will learn more about Newport, the different marine trade and maritime jobs that are available, so they start to understand career, understand what opportunities there are here in the community. So that'll start next year. Yes. And the bus app is up. The bus app has been posted and it's been sent to the website.
What's the name of it? Do you know? Can they?
It has a picture of the school bus. It says Durham Bus App, and it was sent out, and I don't know if anyone's been pinged or if they've seen it. Yep, it's on. It's
Okay.
up.
Thanks for that
23
information.
minutes
so we
ago.
can get that going. At this point in time, I would entertain a motion
To adjourn?
to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gaines, Ms. Sylvia, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I got more ducks up doing this.